by Los Mayas from Guatemala. This stone represents one of the most important governors in Tikal, Guatemala. Hasao Chan Kawil is represented here. His face, his hand here, here, his belt of power. But this stone was created more than 1,000 kilometers of distance far away from Teotihuacan by Los Mayas. Los Mayas from that city, from Guatemala, were 100% contemporary with these guys, but according to this stone, it was in the year 378 AD, the moment when people from the city of Teotihuacan arrived to Guatemala, Honduras, America Central, and those guys conquest, or at least those guys imposed many things in that area. And of course, it's not just my imagination, but remember, Mayan hieroglyphics have been deciphered. This is exactly what I studied. Remember, 500, 600 hieroglyphics are waiting for you, vowels, syllables, words. And remember, the important guy who discovered, who brought the Mayan codex was Yuri Norosov, a Russian guy. And if you want to decipher Mayan hieroglyphics, you have to read these hieroglyphics in this way, from the left to the right, in pairs. This one and this one, this one, this one, this one, till the bottom. And then these two lines this information is amazing, because nowadays the information we have about Mesoamerica, about Los Mayas, it's not just it's not just archaeology, anthropology. Now we are able to read what was written in some cases more than 1,500 years ago. And of course, this information is amazing because, in contrast with other cities in Mesoamerica, nowadays we are able to know the names of governors, dates, battles, the most important rituals practiced by people, by governors, history, supported by archaeology and anthropology.
Do you know what any of this actually says, or can you read it?
Yes. For example, at the very, very beginning, and it's the pattern that you are going to find in these stones is the same. At the very, very top, all these stelas are going to start with dates. They put at the very, very top the date, and they organized time in a different way. If we compare this way with us nowadays, but they organized time in this way, in periods of 20s. The calendar in Mesoamerica was not created by Los Mayas, but the calendar in Mesoamerica had 20 days in every month. The calendar in Mesoamerica had 365 days. It was organized in 19 periods of time, 19 months. From those 19 months, every month used to have 20 days. If we multiply 18 20 times, the result is 360, and the last month had 5 days. In that way, they completed 365 days. But the way Los Mayas expressed time was like this, in periods of 20s. According not only to Los Mayas, according to several millions of people from Mesoamerica, it was in the year 3114 the moment when something important happened in Mesoamerica. Maybe they related that year, that date, with the moment of the creation of corn, the moment when the culture was born, 3114 BC. From that moment, they started to count different cycles. Pay attention. We have 1 day in the calendar, 1 day. We have those months of 20 days. We have 19 months, 365 days. 1 day, 20 days, 1 year. And then from the year, everything is going to be multiplied 20 times. We have 1 year, and this year it's going to be multiplied 20 times. We have a period of 20 years. These 20 years are going to be multiplied again 20 times. 20 times 400. 400 years. We have 1 day, 20 days, 1 year, 20 years, and 400 years. From 3114, Mesoamerica started to count 13 times 400 years. And of course, maybe you are able to remember this important date that happened not many years ago, December 23, 2012. December 23, 2012 is very important because it was the moment when the 13th period of 400 years finished, starting counting from 3114. But these dates were written in the 9th cycle of 400 years. It was the moment when Los Mayas lived in America Central. Now, right now, we are living in Bactun number 14. But those guys lived in the 9th period of 400 years, around 200 to 600 AD in Mexico and also in America Central. Those are the dates expressed here at the very, very top with symbols, with hieroglyphics. It's the first symbol represents the period of 400 years, the period of 20 days, the period of those 20 years, I mean the year inside those 20 years, the cycle of 20 days, and finally the day. In that way, nowadays we are able to know exactly the date. The only thing that is missing is the time. I mean the hour.
The day
But we have exactly date. And that information is amazing.
very detailed.
Very detailed. And of course, the manufacturing also is amazing. This is the information, and these were the social classes that were killed when Spaniards arrived. Those Spanish guys killed the artists, people who used to have the knowledge. So that's why it was kind of tough, complicated to figure out, to understand many things in Mesoamerica, because the classes, the social classes who created this knowledge were killed. It was little by little archaeology, anthropology, deciphering the process of knowing important information. in the continent. This is Los Mexicas room. Los Mexicas are known around the world as the Aztecs. And remember, Los Mexicas built two very important cities, Tenochtitlan and Tlatelolco, downtown Zócalo Square. They arrived to that area in the year 1325 AD, almost 700 years ago. All the pieces here, all of them are the original ones found in Zócalo Square, downtown streets, before 1978. Templo Mayor, the archaeological site that you saw yesterday or the day before yesterday, was excavated in the year 1978. If we were walking in downtown streets in the year 1977, we were not able to see those ruins because on the top different buildings were built, colonial buildings. But by accident, at the beginning of 1978, some workers discovered by accident a huge stone. It was in that moment when the Mexican government made the decision to destroy those colonial buildings in Zócalo Square to recover the archaeological site, Templo Mayor. All the pieces that have been discovered since 1978 till 2022 are located in Templo Mayor Museum. Before that moment, everything is here in this room from the same place. Andesita stone, it's a tower, but in the middle we have the chance to see a glass. It was the glass where different hearts, human hearts, were over here. This is the replica inside, the whole. Two important gods, maybe the two most important Aztec gods, Tezcatlipoca and Huitzilopochtli. Huitzilopochtli was the god who guided Los Mexicas. He was the god who told Los Mexicas, in the place where you find the island, the cactus, the eagle, and the snake, in that place you must build Mexico Tenochtitlan. If we want to know the meaning of Mexico, the word Mexico comes from the language the Aztecs used to speak. Mexico comes from two different words. The word Mextli means moon, and Co means place. If we want to translate Mexico from Nahuatl language to English, Mexico means place of the moon. And that stone maybe is the most iconic stone in the museum, the Stone of the Sun. In the past, the Stone of the Sun was known as the calendar, because in a circle we have the chance to see those 20 symbols of those 20 days in the calendar. The Stone of the Sun was discovered in the year 1790, almost in front of the National Palace. But also, before we get the front of that stone, there are some other important pieces that feather stuff is the replica. It used to be
They were really that big. That's the original size. So.
exactly, it's a replica. The original one, it's located in Austria, in Vienna, but the original one belonged to Moctezuma. Moctezuma was the ninth Aztec governor. Moctezuma was the governor in Tenochtitlan when Cortes arrived in 1519. Imagine, in front of the National Palace in the year 1519, 503 years ago, Moctezuma and Cortes talk each other face to face. And that moment was the moment when the destiny of this territory changed. Though, exactly, the headdress, um, those feathers are feathers of quetzales. Quetzal is this bird, very adored. The yellow part is gold, and the blue feathers are blue jay feathers. These ones. Blue jay, quetzales, and gold. This monkey in obsidian, also it's the original one, found in Tenochtitlan, downtown streets.
Really?
Maybe 50, 60 years ago. This god, his name is Xochipilli. Xochipilli is the god of many things. It's the god of beauty, flowers, but at the same time, death. Also related to war, blood, and sacrifice.
It's a powerful god.
It's the original one,
Wow.
discovered in an important archaeological season in downtown streets.
And you look and you think, it's all still pretty much intact except for the fingers and the nose. That's unbelievable.
The Star of the Sun was discovered in Zocalo Square, 1790. And the stone in the past was called the calendar because in a circle we are able to see the 20 symbols of the calendar in Mesoamerica. You can get closer if you want. You can get a picture. Of course, we cannot touch nothing, but you can get closer if you want. The north, the south, the east, and the west. You can recognize the east part of the city because it's the sunrise, but also because we have the chance to see the two most important volcanoes, Popocatépetl and Iztaccíhuatl. Those volcanoes are the second and the third highest volcanoes in the country. Both get more than 5,000 meters of height. Popocatépetl is a 100% active volcano, and Iztaccíhuatl is inactive volcano. And as a summary, these temples in Mesoamerica, at least in Mexico City and around Mexico City, represent those volcanoes. Period.
So this is what it would have looked like.
This market represents Tenochtitlan. This market is the archaeological site that you saw, Templo Mayor.
Oh, really?
Of course, is a representation how Templo Mayor looked like before Spaniards destroyed the city.
Oh, wow. Okay.
According to these different documents and codex written before, but especially after los Mexicas, the Aztecs, were defeated, Tenochtitlan had around 70 or 80 buildings.
I thought this was a replica of Teotihuacan. It's
Exactly.
not. It's Templar Mayor. Templar Mayor. Wow. Wow. You mean just from what they have from downtown, they could extrapolate to this type of degree of detail? That's amazing.
If you visit Zócalo Square, the excavations continue. And those excavations are going to continue. And everything, all the stuff here was found by archaeologists before 1978.
1978?
1978. Mexico City, that water has been replaced by 20 million people in the city and also in the metropolitan area.
Yeah, they just filled it with earth. Or what happened? I mean, how did they get rid of a lake?
Using different technologies.
They drained it off and then they filled in some areas. Okay.